Hello, hello. Good morning, y'all.
Hi.
Good morning.
I'm running our pre-event check. Oh, I guess it's just mine.
Yeah, I just did the same thing, Lauren. Over there, testing.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Indeed.
Okay, I can't hear you.
Did someone say something?
Hello,
Testing.
hello.
Oh, I can't hear you. See something now?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay, hold on.
Hello, hello.
I think that gear, I'm kind of a little nervous if my headphones die, but it's cool.
Yeah, if you can switch your
I'm gonna switch
audio
mine
and then
out.
Yeah, I think I might switch. Yeah, that would be the worst thing talking, and people are like, "We can't hear you." The theme of Zoom in 2020.
And it looks like we got some folks joining us. Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome.
Totally didn't realize you could see all of my nonsense behind me. Guys, if you're in, throw in the chat where you're from. We like to know where people are from across the country.
Oh, the main stage is wrapping up. Okay.
Or
All right, Gigi.
I still can't hear any of you. Can you hear me?
we can hear you perfect.
Okay. I mean, like, if you can hear me, then I'm just gonna we can just try to wing it. I don't know what's happening. This is so weird.
There's an audio test you can do.
Do something?
Hi.
Hey.
Okay, great. I just unplugged my external speakers.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
Let me grab some water real quick.
Hi, everyone joining. Welcome. I believe that thing up at the top, right? That's how we can see how many people are in the session.
Yep, exactly.
Fabulous. Well, welcome, everyone. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes.
While you wait, though, for those of you who have access to the chat, go in and tell us where you're from. I always like to know where people are from.
Especially these days, folks from all over.
We got Pittsburgh in the house, Chi-Town in the house.
Love to see it.
Michael Gibson.
From Los Angeles.
LA,
Richmond.
Okay.
Richmond. I'll be in Richmond in January.
If that's the Mike Gibson I know, he's a Chi-Town. He's a Chi-Town native. I love how he's repping LA now.
Is there anybody from Texas? Come on, guys, represent a little bit.
I see my representative from Chicago.
How's it been so far for everyone in the chat? Have you sat in on any great sessions so far today?
ATL
takeover.
Let's go.
I know that's right.
All right.
Went to Texas one. Thank you, Jamie.
All right, I guess we'll just go ahead and we'll just dive right into it, right? So thank you all so much for being here today. Happy Friday, happy December. So good to see you all in the chat. Love seeing the Atlanta representation. We do have an office out in Atlanta, so we'd love to see it. But we're just really excited to have this space today to share with all of you, to be here with Thanksgiving. So we're just going to jump right into it. So over the course of today, we're going to learn a lot of amazing stuff led by our fabulous panel here. You'll learn a little bit about ServiceTitan, our organization, and we're hoping that you'll take away some really valuable tips and tricks for how to break into the tech world, even if you don't have tech experience. So we'll start by a brief introduction. I can start by introducing myself. My name is Gigi Green. I am the program manager for diversity, equity, and inclusion at ServiceTitan. I've been at the company about 2 years, coming up fast, which is pretty crazy to think. I work very closely with our employee resource groups and enable them, our leaders, and I am a part of putting on amazing sessions like this with our ERGs. So really excited to be here partnering with Black Titans in order to bring this session to all of you today. So a little bit about ServiceTitan. In the chat, I would love to know how many of you are in this session because you've heard of ServiceTitan and because you are really passionate about ServiceTitan and you know exactly what we are. That ding
Okay.
was 3 times. About ServiceTitan. Well, for those of you who don't know what we do, we are the world's leading software provider for the trades, and our product is an end-to-end platform to help contractors improve sales, optimize workflows, and manage their teams. So we're really here to bring tech to an underrepresented and underserved community, which is the trades. So we're all about changing lives, achieving the extraordinary, and being a dream team to help empower others. So in today's session, we're really going to dive into some transferable skills and ways that you can get into tech, even if you don't have a technical background. An important part of what makes you valuable to a potential employer is the holistic picture of what you bring to the table. So while you've no doubt developed your technical skill set and your job-specific tasks in prior roles, transferable skills such as strong leadership or critical thinking skills can help you land a new job, no matter how unmatched your technical skill set may appear to be. So in today's session, we're going to discuss how identifying your own transferable skills and marketing them effectively will help you to not only identify possible career opportunities with an otherwise pretty daunting field, and market yourself as an invaluable asset in addition to any organization. So I'm going to pass the baton and ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves, as well as share a transferable skill of theirs that has served them well in their current role. So we're going to go right in alphabetical order down the line. We'll start with Daryl.
Hello, everybody. My name is Daryl Johnson. I've been with ServiceTitan for a little over a year now, starting in SMB implementation and now on the merger and acquisition side. I would say that a transferable skill that has suited me well so far is just, making sure that people are well taken care of and, being a good listener on the client side. So no matter what background you're in currently, if you know how to, listen to the problem and, be aware of certain solutions, then, that has definitely proven well for me. So I'll hand it over to Lauren.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Lauren. I am one of our Black Titans co-chairs at ServiceTitan. I've been with ServiceTitan for about 3 years now. As far as transferable skills, I have a lot of experience in restaurants. So all through high school, college, in bars, bartending, serving. If you have ever served before, you know there's a lot going on, a lot to remember, a million different things to be doing. So being able to juggle and multitask is definitely one of those transferable skills that has served me very, very well in being a project manager here at ServiceTitan.
All right, I guess it's me. Hi, guys. My name's Rebecca. I am a program manager for customer advocacy. It's a brand new title for me, so I'm excited. And I started off in the training department at ServiceTitan over 4 years ago, so I've been here quite some time. And transferable skills, I am a problem solver. I'm a creative thinker by nature, so I like problems in my area to try to figure out how to, find a good solution that's going to impact a lot of people. And so that is my transferable skills. Serve me very well here at ServiceTitan. Pass it to Will.
Nice. What's going on, everybody? My name is William Fleming, or Will for short. I am a manager over our enterprise project management team. Been with the company now going on about 4 years. Actually started off in our support department, moved over to our implementation department, and kind of moved up the different cohorts. And again, now a manager over our team. Super excited about that. Transferable skill, I would say for me is honestly just genuinely being invested in seeing people or businesses be the best versions of themselves. I come from a background of working at call centers, working at just about anything you could think of. Probably had that job before. So, but I've always loved tech and just brought everything I knew up to that point over to tech and never looked back.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Really excited to have you all here. These are some incredible humans within our community. So excited to have them share their wisdom with all of you today. So we're going to jump into it. One important thing that I forgot to mention at the top, please make sure to drop your questions into the chat, questions, comments, concerns. We're going to reserve about 10 minutes at the end for open Q&A. We can bring you up on the stage, have a little bit more interactive content discussion together. So we'll be moderating the chat throughout, so feel free to drop any of your questions in there. We're also going to give you a little bit more information about us in our booth at the end of the session. So you'll be able to connect with us afterwards, get our LinkedIns, and continue the conversation. So keep that chat hopping off, please, and thank you. But we'll just jump right into it. So they say to dress for the job that you want, not the job you have. So this is all really important in ensuring that you're, thinking about what you want to do before you even get there. So I'm going to hand the mic off to our team and let them talk about identifying and explaining your transferable skills. Rebecca?
Awesome. All right, guys. So I am talking about what transferable skills are. So while I'm talking, go ahead and put in the chat what you think transferable skills are. There is, hint, the answer on the screen. But they're general skills that you gain from previous roles, whether you paid for them or not, that you can use in a variety of jobs. So how many of you guys have skills? Like, just start typing them in. What skills do you have that you are like the rock star at? Just throw it in the chat. Microsoft Excel.
Yep.
Great listener, empathy, these problem solving, database management, G Suites, team building. These are some great transferable skills that you can use in the tech industry. All right, so now that we know what they are, and you guys continue to put in what they are, because I'm going to be looking what ones you have, we're going to talk about how do you use them. All right, so how to identify your transferable skills. So I broke this into like 3 sections. Sorry, I just thought they were like going to pop up individually. My bad. All right. So the first one is make a list. So you want to think about all the things that you've done and create a list of your best work, right? So you're doing it right now in the chat. You're writing a list of all the things that you have a good skill for. Then you want to make the link. So you want to look at identifying phrases in job descriptions for jobs that you want that you can connect the dots to. So for example, ServiceTitan is always hiring, and I just happen to have our little job board up. So if you're interested, go on to servicetitan.com and look on our board. But there's a job posting for a customer success manager. And those people are the type of people who build relationships with our customers to keep them happy, to be coaches in their business, to help them along the way. And ironically, a lot of our CSMs that I 100% know, like I work with these people every day, have no technical background. What they do have is problem solving skills, like a lot of you said you had. They have time management skills, which is extremely important in our business. They have connections. They're able to really make connections with people. Those are the kind of skills that you want to be able to see in your job description, right? Does anybody have a question I can answer so far? Oh, that is right. So Lauren just put in Gigi was a theater major, and she is now the program manager for diversity, equity, inclusion. So transferable skills are extremely, extremely powerful. All right, and then the last thing is you need to make it last. So once you get that interview, because we know you are, because there's other sessions to help you really dedicate your resume, fix your LinkedIn. Once you get that interview, you have to make it memorable how you use those skills. So create those stories, make sure they're interconnected for how you apply your problem solving, how they, that famous question, tell me a time when. What they're really asking is, how do you use your skills every day? And how do you make the most of those skills? All right, I'm going to pass it to Will, because Will's going to tell you how to apply all of this knowledge.
Awesome. Y'all can hear me pretty good?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know how internet is on Friday, so I just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. So how to best share your skill set for a new field and role. I was thinking about this before we dug in here, and kind of landed on 3 key points, and we can definitely elaborate a little bit more. But the first one that came to mind was think outside of the title and dig into what's considered foundational skills for the role. So when you think about like less technical roles that may not really have anything to do with like coding or anything technical whatsoever, having a quote unquote tech background doesn't necessarily mean much if those foundational skills that's key to being successful in that role aren't present. So I can give y'all a more tangible example. So I was interviewing a few success manager. I was interviewing for a success manager role at my previous tech company. And throughout the interview process, there were 2 specific people that were interviewing that were literally like, I'm talking about like just crushing the interview top to bottom. Everything that we were looking for, they had it. The funny part was when we asked them what their current role was or where they were coming from, both of them said that they were Starbucks baristas. Literally, like they had no other background. They were literally just came from Starbucks and found the job on LinkedIn or wherever. And that moment stuck with me for a long time, because hiring them was honestly one of the best decisions that we could have made as a company. And now to this day, they are literally still excelling in tech. So all that to say, and kind of going into my next point, you want to highlight those skills in your resume and in the interview process that are most transferable. Shout out to Gigi. She LinkedIn, flexjobs.com. Their website identified that the top 3 transferable skills that employers are looking for are problem solving, and I think a few of y'all put it in there. Problem solving, I think analytical reasoning, if I'm not mistaken, and critical thinking. And then most importantly, the last point here is have confidence that your skills do matter in tech. Like that's the biggest thing. And this goes for anything you do in life. Sometimes you jump from one thing to another and you're like, do I really belong here? You got to have a confidence that whatever you were doing previously, it can be transferred into tech. And you're needed. You're absolutely needed. So that's it for now.
Thanks, y'all. So we're going to kind of just head on through this. And like I said, feel free to drop your questions into the chat, and we'll have a big chunk of time at the end to chat about it. But we're just going to keep on rolling for now. So we're going to talk about standing out. So once you've identified these transferable skills, how are you marketing these and how are you sharing these to the world? So we'll pass it over. I believe this is going to Will.
Oh, I'm back. All right, cool. All right, so circling back to some of my points in that previous slide, some ways to make yourself marketable, and you can see it here on the slide. Number 1, update your resume, right? Updating your resume and being sure that those transferable skills are clearly indicated within each job description to highlight your strengths. Ultimately, just making sure that on your resume that whatever job you're applying for, that you have those skills on that resume. I was told before by a recruiter, I don't know how true this is or not, but I was told once by a recruiter that sometimes they have so many different resumes that they go through that they'll use a tool to kind of sift through different resumes that literally looks for keywords. And again, I've never seen the tool, but someone told me this before, and it like completely changed my whole view of how to construct your resume. So just be sure again, when you're applying for a role, you're looking at it, putting in those different keywords so that when someone looks at it, it makes you stand out amongst the others. Think like an employer. If you were on the other side, what are the keywords or skills you would be looking for in a candidate? Again, that goes back to the keywords and ultimately just making sure that you're diving into what's key to being successful in that role and not necessarily saying, oh, well, I don't have any tech experience. Hey, if you got problem solving, if you got customer service, those are foundational things that I think every company needs, no matter what role you're in, that are definitely needed in tech as well. So, and then last but not least, do your research. I would probably say this is the most important. What are the qualities necessary for the role you're interested in? So when I remember once when I applied to a tech company for the first time, I got into the interview. I was super excited. And they asked me, what do you know about our company? And I froze like a deer in headlights because I did not research. I was just excited to apply for a tech company. I was like, to be honest, I just know y'all a tech company and that's about it. But that experience showed me that, anytime you apply to any job, you want to go in with some sort of knowledge about what the company offers, what exactly the company stands for. And it's important for you as well. You're going to be spending time with this company for however long you're invested into the company itself. And it's important to just know the company in general. So I'm blabbering now, but feel free to drop any questions or anything like that.
Yeah, and Will, if I could just kind of piggyback off of what you were mentioning in regards to the do your research part, something that I've done for sure with just kind of tapping into the tech space is YouTube, YouTube the role, YouTube the company. I think actually how I kind of got stuck on Service Titan is I found I think there was like a panel discussion. It must have been like with the ERG before I actually came over to Service Titan. And I was really just hooked after that. I was on like the Service Titan YouTube channel and I was just watching all these videos. And I think that's what stuck out most to me, like just kind of seeing how the culture itself just, kind of wore on people, so do that research. You may not necessarily have to like read a lot and, use all the resources that you have, like go on YouTube, look up the role that you want. Sometimes you think it's a role that you want that you may not really actually want after you realize like what that role entails. So definitely do the research element of it, and connecting with those people is definitely something I can add there.
Yeah, I'm going to add just a second to it. Connect with those people on LinkedIn. The 5 of us are people that you can connect with us immediately. There's 2 other people that we've dropped their information in that are gonna be at our booth. But if they have the title that you want, talk to those people. 1, you get an ally on your side, but 2, you get real insight into the everyday of the job. And the more you understand that, the more the hiring manager is going to be like, wow, they really understand this role. I'm not going to have to work extremely hard to get them up to speed on what we actually require here. So definitely make those connections.
I love that. And if I can just add one other thing, just piggybacking on everything y'all said, going back to that confidence piece, again, just knowing you belong, it's a blessing, right? To be accepted, to have a company say, hey, we want you on our team. But you also have to know that it's a blessing for them to have you on their team as well. So it's kind of a two-way street, and having that confidence of like, hey, wherever I go, I know that I'm going to be a major piece to the success of this company. I think it brings a different set of confidence when you're interviewing and applying to different jobs where you're not necessarily, quote unquote, thirsty, as we like to say. But you're really digging in to say, no, this is the position I want, and I know that this is the position that I can succeed in.
Some gems, yes. This is amazing, and I think that like really big takeaways here are that we've all had jobs, and you know that you will learn the technical skills that you need for your job. Like, yes, if you're going to go into programming or engineering, you should probably have an understanding of how that works. Drama major, so maybe not. But I think that really knowing like the qualities that you want in a role. I mean, how much value are you bringing to an interview process when you walk in and you tell the manager exactly the qualities that you have that are going to help lead this role and elevate it to the next level as well. They know they can teach you the technical skills. That's fine. But you can't teach some of these, softer skills, some of these transferable skills like leadership, great communication. So if you come in and you lead with that, then that's going to be it's going to make the hiring manager's job so much easier. Thinking like an employer is huge. What would you want to see if you were hiring for the same role? And I think that Daryl really transitioned this over super well too. It's now that you have these transferable skills, and everyone kind of touched on this too. How do you build your network? How do you have these informational interviews? How do you learn about the jobs that you want to do, the roles that you want to do? So I'm going to pass it over to Lauren to talk a little bit about that.
Yes. All right. So of course, if you don't have a network, you already know what I'm going to say next. You have to build it. And I know that's really daunting. Nobody wants to like cold call people or just talk to strangers. Nobody likes that. But you have to be in the environment of the place that you want to go. And we are still in the middle of a pandemic. Won't go too much into that. But that's fine. There are resources there. There are things LinkedIn, Meetup, Eventbrite, Instagram, Twitter, Slack channels, Discord, GroupMe's. Even like Daryl was saying, you can look on YouTube, see what other people have commented, what other people follow this company, are they interested in, things like that. There are a ton of avenues to make sure that you are present in the space that you're trying to get into. Now, with that, you can use experiences like today's summit with Techsgiving or a lot of the events that they host, like my personal favorite, Tech Talk Tuesdays, to make those connections, to meet people. Like we said, all of our LinkedIns will be linked. You can connect with us. You can connect with people in the chat. Just do it. Take a deep breath, connect. You can throw your phone after, you can close your laptop, whatever you need to do, but say something, get out there, introduce yourself, meet people. But all in all, you want to create opportunity to continue conversations in a way that's mutually beneficial for everyone involved. The goal shouldn't necessarily be to meet people who can do things for you. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be used. And sometimes it's kind of obvious if they're like, oh, you do what now? Oh, okay, let me get your number. Like who wants to deal with that? So be friendly, but also figure out where you can be helpful to other people. What gaps can you fill? And where can you be a benefit to other companies, organizations, other people that may be looking for jobs, employments, things like that as well. So with all of that, I'm going to pass it off to DJ to tell you more about how to do it now that I've told you what to do.
For sure. Thanks a lot, Lauren. So I think this particular part of it is one of the elements that I've been able to definitely use and test out. I've been at quite a few crossroads, on my way to service site and prior to, and I try to be very bold in those particular spaces and journeys. But I think having the right toolkit is always going to be beneficial. And I think the making connections part that Lauren just transitioned over from is going to be really huge. And I saw someone mention in the chat, like intentional connections, which is really going to play a huge part in that. I'm a strong advocate of not necessarily connecting with necessarily everyone, but being intentional about your network. It's almost like your Instagram or even your LinkedIn. Like if there's energy from certain people, or whether on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, whatever the case may be, you want to create your reality within your LinkedIn. So if you want to step into a particular space, make sure that you're connecting with people that are in those spaces. So making those connections is going to be key. In spaces like this, I would always recommend that quite a few of you have already been doing. I think I've seen Meriden, dropping their LinkedIn in the actual chat of these sessions. So I generally would have like in my notes section of my phone or on my computer, like off to the side, which will be linked in our resources, like a template of like my LinkedIn. That way I can drop that, and also what I'm looking to do. That way, if there's someone that's in the session, or maybe someone that's actually participating as well, they can quickly, without talking to you, see like, hey, this is their LinkedIn. I can go and check out all the stuff that they have listed there. But I also see a quick blurb about what industry they're trying to tap into, which makes their life easier. So making the people who you want to connect with lives easier and kind of providing them shortcuts before they even get to your LinkedIn or before they even talk to you are going to be key. As a part of the follow-up element, oftentimes I would definitely connect with people, but a missing link was like, okay, after I connect with them, like, is it just like me just trying to get that blue check mark, that 500 mark on LinkedIn? Or am I trying to connect and I'm trying to actually develop relationships, genuine, intentional relationships so that I can, move my career along? And the welcome or the first initial impression is when you actually connect with someone and it has that little message box right there. You can drop something, and I have something templated out. Just an example that I've done before of, hey, Will, nice connecting with you at Thanksgiving. Looking forward to, chatting with you. That is before they even accept my connection. After they accept my connection, then I'm welcoming them into my space. So I'm welcoming them into my actual LinkedIn community and letting them know, like, hey, you're just not another number. I'm coming with intention, and this is what I'm trying to do. And then as a part of a bonus, as a part of more follow-up in, I would say, scheduling time, how many of you in the chat have heard of Calendly? If you could just drop like a 1 or yes or anything in the chat, how many of you are familiar with Calendly? Heard of it? Nice. Perfect. So Calendly definitely is a tool that I became attached to, and we use it, on the service titan side and definitely on the tech side. But I will often send a follow-up message after I've connected with someone. And also after that initial response, I'm not just going to be sending a draft out to them, right? I'm waiting for a genuine connection. So Will responds to me. After that, I'm checking in, seeing how he's doing, letting him know that, hey, I've actually looked at your LinkedIn. I've seen the work that you've done in this area. I would like to, talk to you a little bit more about your time at Service Titan in this particular role. Be very specific and intentional about what it is and the direction that you want to go in. And that Calendly link is like that cherry on top, as I like to think of it, because most people aren't expecting that. If you have a Calendly set up with your headshot and also a time where people can easily come and book some time with you, which you'll be able to find. And if you all reach out and connect with me, I'm definitely going to be using these same tools. That way, I'm making it convenient for the people that I need help from or I want to partner with to actually, make time for me, even if it's a quick 15 minutes. So those are definitely some game changers. As I mentioned in the resources, all of these like templates, and I'm still making a few modifications for you all. But those little templates of like, hey, my name is, enter your name here, like are all outlined in those resources. So are there any questions in regards to, I guess, this particular piece before I hand it back over to, I think maybe Gigi?
And I think that there were some questions in the chat about if you're going to have access to these links. Yes, we're going to get a list of everyone who attended this session today, and we're going to be sending out this PowerPoint deck. PowerPoint, people still use PowerPoint anymore. This Google Slides deck after the session. It's going to have lots of fun clickable links. Daryl had put together a bunch of resources and these templates that you can use. So you're going to get a copy of this for being here today. So thank you for being here. I will send this out.
We've got a script. There's no excuses. So if I don't get a message, I'm going to be upset, and I'll have your information, and I'm coming for you.
Hey, don't leave yet.
Yeah.
Great. Did I just cut someone off?
No, I was just going to say, Gigi, it looks like there are, on that Q&A tab, there's a good amount of questions there.
Yeah, we're going to roll through some of these questions. So thank you so much for dropping your questions into the Q&A section. We've also been moderating the chat as well. So we're going to go through and just address a couple of these questions. I'm seeing a lot of through lines here in the Q&A. That we've got people who have backgrounds in law pivoting into tech. We have people in construction management, and it's just seeming like a lot of the systems that they use aren't prevalent in tech. So what advice would you give for someone who is completely out of scope in terms of the role that they've had before? Rebecca Metters, what would you like to suggest to them?
Don't worry. Don't think of a tech company as somebody who uses these fancy software systems, and I literally use Google Slides and Google Drive all day long. I don't think I've touched a programming software since I've been at Service Titan. It's not necessary to work for a tech company in a non-technical way. Obviously, you want to be in a technical aspect. There's some, Google has a few certifications, Coursera, those places where you can get those certifications to help drive your career. But if you just want to break in, things like being able to work in customer, a lot of people I know that are like in really nice positions at ServiceTitan right now started in our support department answering chats. Like, is you can work a computer, just typing, you probably can get a job in tech, honestly. So don't use that as a hindrance to hide behind like your ability to really get into these companies. They are more focused on, at least at ServiceTitan, developing the culture and the people than they are with technical skills. Technical skills typically can be taught, but who you are as a person, your drive, the things you bring to the company cannot be.
I love that.
Snaps, a word.
And again, as a kind of an added benefit bonus for all of you being here today, some questions in the chat about how to specifically gear your transferable skills, your background, where you're coming from. We're going to do exactly what we're preaching to you, and we're going to provide you the opportunity to reach out to us, practice those networking skills, and set up 20 minutes to chat with any of us if you'd like to have a deeper dive on your specific background and how we can help you. So we'll be sending out a Google form where you can register to meet up with us after this. So if I don't address your question, there will be an opportunity for you to meet with us one-on-one or in our booth later. But we'll go into some of the broader questions. Duran had a great question here, Duran Ball. What are some good ways to connect in the community, just messaging people on LinkedIn without seeming like a sales agent, thinking about being authentic in your approach?
Daryl, you want to take that one, brother?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? I was reading a few of these other ones in the chat.
Yes. So the question was about making those networking. What's a good way to connect to the community without seeming like salesy, being like authentic in your approach?
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely, I think the element of like doing your research on who you're reaching out to, and just making like, I guess, starting off trying to find ways of like where these people will be at. Like in this particular instance, you have events like this. You also, in the comment section, actually, is a huge way that I've kind of found a way to like not be salesy and still interact to kind of build some type of relationship. Like most people share content on their LinkedIn, and on that content, like you can provide some insight. You can either, share your opinion on that particular content. And then that often can lead you down the road of like, hey, like I kind of have a feel of, what type of person is reaching out. They're not trying to sell me anything. We just have something in common. So finding some type of commonalities within your connections or within the spaces that you want to, or communities that you want to tap into is definitely a way to, I guess, leverage that.
And I'll also add to that, a really, really, really good way to get involved is just to support other people. The way I found out about Textgiving was through, I think, someone that I followed on Instagram had reposted a flyer. I started going to their Tech Talk Tuesdays. When they did it on Instagram, I would comment, I would chat in, I would, say things, react, follow people. Someone sent a message to me like, hey, thanks for supporting. And now here we are a year later talking to you guys about how to do the same thing. So like I said earlier, you don't always have to just, send out random messages. You can also just engage with people, support their activities, their conferences, whatever they're doing, support, show your face, say something. And that's a great way to connect too.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I would say lastly, just be natural. If people can often feel like when you're coming like in as like a salesperson or you're kind of robotic, I would say just be natural. If we were all to be in a room right now, if Will had on some decent, J's or if like Lauren saw something like I think they were talking about some makeup or whatever the case earlier, like find things that naturally, you can build conversation off of and, go from there, like use those different avenues to kind of make your way.
And I'll add to that, sometimes just being honest. Like there are some people who you really should connect with, and there's not a good avenue, there's not a good way to connect. Just be honest. Hey, I'm looking to connect with somebody. Can you spend 10 minutes talking to me about your role? I really want to learn more. Like, that honesty will go a long way for some people. Like, for me, if you message me and just like, hey, I'm interested in, what you was doing in training. I saw that you had training on how did that go? Can I get 15 minutes of your time? And then in that 15 minutes, you have the ability to build a connection where you can continue that. That's how I got one of the best mentors I've ever had. Was just like, hey, can I have 15 minutes of your time? I just really want to learn more about you.
This is all so great. And I think one of the questions in the chat too that kind of ties in with all of this is about, what if you're introverted? Like, what if, reaching out to people isn't your strong suit? I am a hardcore introvert. Introvert is like my life. Like, people are exhausting and terrifying. So I think that, Daryl has like some really great templates and resources for you to just hit send and walk away. But also, if you're really scared about networking, or you don't know where to start, or you feel like you want to be bringing a more authentic connection to the table, something else that you can do is start in the communities that you love. Find hashtags on LinkedIn about things that you are passionate about. Is it DEI? Is it photography? Is it makeup? Whatever. Start in the communities that you're passionate about, that you want to talk about, and then you can network out that way. So it's a great place to start, just with your passions. So we've got some good questions in here too about fitting your resume to the role that you're seeking. So Ebony Green, great last name, has a question. I know you talked about fitting your resume to the role you're seeking. Is it necessary to change the role title on your resume instead of using your current role's names, getting pushback due to title?
That's a good question. I don't know necessarily if you should change your role's title. But someone mentioned this recently, and I thought it was brilliant. Someone mentioned that instead of putting your role title as like the highlighted bullet point, maybe including like what exactly you were doing in that role. So, for example, and I have to pull the actual piece that they said, but like, for example, this is a bad example, but if you were a trash man, right, and your quote unquote role was a trash man, but in reality, you were really going customer to customer house. You were strategically project managing routes and all these different things. Putting a trash man, I think, belittles all the things that you were actually really doing in that role. So if you were to put something like, I don't know, and I'm just kind of freestyling at this point, but project management of routes or something like that, you kind of get where I'm going with that, where you're not necessarily not saying that this was my quote unquote title, but you're just highlighting what exactly it is that your role entailed and why it's relatable to the role that you're going in. For example, my first customer service role years and years ago, it was actually me transitioning from being at McDonald's over to customer service. I had literally no, phone experience, tech experience, nothing like that. But I focused on, hey, I got really good customer service skills. And even though it was at McDonald's, that was one thing that you had to do in order to be successful. And it worked out. It actually transferred over really well, and they bought into it. So I don't know if that answers the question or not. Feel free, anyone else, to jump in here. But yeah, Kevin Boyd, yes.
Because Kevin, who by the way is my great manager,
was my old manager too. Amazing.
So
mine too. Shout out to Kevin.
Connect with Kevin, shameless plug. But he said, align your role, responsibilities, and skills to requirements in the job description will give you a higher rate for success. And Will made a good point. No, I don't think you should change personally, and this is me personally, I don't think you necessarily need to change your title, because that was the company's way of describing what you did. That is not necessarily who you are, right? You can move your resume around. Standardized resumes are like non-existent anymore. Like having your title and then how long you've been there and then, 2 bullet points of what you did. You could start with a bullet point and say, here are the things that are most important about this role. And at the end, here was my role. Here's my title. Like, you don't have to stay in the status quo of your resume, and actually more dynamic resumes get better look. I'm just gonna put that out there.
And I know we're short on time, but I'll add, when you're describing what your role was, you don't want to say what you did, but how you did it. So when I was a server, I'm not saying I bring drinks, I bring food. No, I'm managing multiple customers. I'm making sure that their needs are met. I'm maintaining a level of, calmness, great energy, managing money, things like that. Describe how you're doing it, and then also make it clear how that's also applicable to that new role, like Kevin said. So don't just say, yeah, I work at Chili's. I bring fries. I love 2 for $15. Whatever. Like, that's not helping anybody. That doesn't tell anybody what you can do. They're not asking you to go serve 2 for $20s. Like, so how does that help them? Think of it that way.
Love all of this advice. And I know that we could all talk about this forever, and we will, but we are running a little short on time. We want to be respectful to our other amazing panels that are happening today. So we're going to, unfortunately, wrap up our time together in this panel. But like I said, we are going to be sending out an email with this deck and all the resources that are attached to this on this last page. After this session, all these are clickable links to send you to all of our personal LinkedIn pages where you can practice these skills in real time with us. We also have a booth that will be open, I believe, correct me on this if I'm wrong, 5 o'clock today Eastern time. Nope, 4 o'clock today Eastern time. Do not show up at 5, we will be gone. 4 o'clock today Eastern time. We'd love to see you. We will also have 2 of our other Black Titans leads joining us as well there. So you'll have a chance to meet some other folks and talk a little bit more about your individual opportunities, your questions that you may have. And like I said, we'll be sending out a Google form as well. So if you want to schedule about 20 minutes to chat with any of us about anything, please feel free to go ahead and fill out that form. Hit us up on LinkedIn. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for being here today. What an amazing turnout. Really appreciate it. We know it's a Friday, it's December, we're all exhausted, but hopefully this has given you some energy and rejuvenated you as you head into next year. Really think about what you want to do and how you can do it. Thank you to our incredible panelists. So let's hear it in the chat for Daryl, Lauren, William, Rebecca. Amazing, amazing, amazing individuals. Shout out to Kevin Boyd from Service Titan for being here in the audience and supporting today, dropping gems as well. If you're interested in Service Titan, check us out online, servicetitan.com. Check out the careers page, see if there's anything you're interested in. And we will see you all at our booth later today.
Big shout out to Gigi before we close.
Yes.
Big shout out to
Gigi.
She's
the DEI coordinator. And if you don't have a company, if you're not interested in a company with a employee resource group, a DI team, don't go to that company. I'm gonna just put that out there.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So great. So thank you all so much. We will see you soon. And in the meantime, have a great weekend and we'll be in touch.
Come talk to us, y'all.
Right,
You belong. You belong. You belong. Remember that.
Are you supposed to leave?
I'm chilling if y'all chilling.
Yeah.
I'm chilling too.
Hey, low key, we do got some extra questions in. I don't know what
Yeah, I don't know how it works if we have to leave or if we are allowed to stick
I guess
around.
if we get booted out, okay, but I think we should probably answer some of these questions like on the recording.
Are y'all cool if we answered some more questions? How y'all feel about that?
Do you have a rep from Thanksgiving in here that we can get a thumbs up from?
Look at them saying yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh,
ready,
encore.
stay.
Oh, they love us. Oh my gosh, guys.
And shameless plug, look how cool this is that our company is sponsoring us to come and talk to all of you today. So Service Titan's a great organization. Come check us out. It's a really, really powerful organization to be a part of. We really support.
It really is. And my first experience with Service Titan was just I applied for the job. I had a really great interview process. It was rigorous, but it was a really great interview process. And I started, if anybody remembers, Houston had a terrible flood 4.5 years ago. And I was living in Houston at the time, moving to Atlanta for Service Titan. I worked for a company here in Houston that asked me to come to the office in the flood. I went to the office, tore my car up, did all this stuff. And then they never asked how my family's doing. We had damage to the house, nothing. People at Service Titan I've never even met, never talked to, reached out to me and were like, we just want to make sure you're okay. We heard you were starting and we heard you were in Houston. We just want to make sure everything's cool. If that doesn't tell you how great of a company it is.
Good eggs.
Thanks. Love that.
I think too, I got hired during the pandemic, and I actually applied to Service Titan for a CSM role in I think 2019, and I think I was telling Rebecca and Will and Gigi and Lauren the other day. I actually went to Afrotech and did not go to the booth because I was like, it's still been 6 months. Still has been about 6 months, so I'm gonna let that pass by a little bit. And I stayed invested. I think during my initial research of Service Titan, I was watching videos as if I was going to get hired. Like it wasn't, a matter of, if, it was more so when. So just, all of my notes, literally a year later, when I wound up interviewing for the implementation role on the SMB team, literally came to fruition. So when that interview came about, I literally went back to my notes from a year ago, and I was ready because I already looked up the product. I had already knew where some pain points were. I knew where I could, impact, from an implementation standpoint. And in my interview, I was very candid, very natural as well. So definitely leverage, our connections. Feel free to definitely reach out to me for sure. We can definitely get some time like on Calendly. I'm very intentional and very vested in like seeing other people grow. And I think everybody at Service Titan shares that sentiment. Like I haven't met anyone that is on this panel in person. And it's like, I probably have better connections here at Service Titan than I do at companies where I was actually going into an office. And I think if that doesn't speak volumes, I think there's nothing else that really does, because I mean, if we were in person, it probably would be a really, really good time.
I think that actually like really ties in with one of the questions that I really love in the Q&A here about like tech is so broad. How do we narrow it down, find what we like? I mean, it's culture. I mean, really, like when you look at it, you can do the same role at any company, like most companies. I think the concept of tech is so daunting. So I think what it really comes down to is what Rebecca said, like, is, community, is DEI really important to you? Then find a company with ERGs, find a company with a DEI board or an advisory board. Like, what is your passion? Like, is it the mission statement of the company? So maybe don't think about it in tech necessarily, but think about it as being an organization that you want to be proud to be a part of. So I think that really helps kind of like narrow the scope of what you're looking for, because tech is just a broad brush to be painting with.
And like the work you do, think about what you're gonna want to do for hours on end every day. Like you can't, any job, not tech or non-tech, you don't want to be somewhere you're gonna be miserable. So think about something that makes you happy, and then you can create a job around it. I know a bunch of people, again, at Service Titan, because Service Titan's great, but like created roles for themselves. They've created a need for their specific skill set so they can do what they want to do every day, all day long.
So true.
Yes. And I will add on to that for sure and tie it all together. When it comes to culture, you really do. I feel like that may be the most important thing. I don't know that it really matters too much, even what the company itself does. When I came into Service Titan, I started in support too. I knew nothing about the trades, nothing about plumbing, HVAC. I didn't know what a sump pump was. I can tell you now, but I didn't know. Like, those are things I did not know, and that's okay. But the culture at Service Titan was unlike anywhere else I would have ever been. Like, if I had something like, hey, I don't think this is right, or maybe we should consider doing it this way, or hey, let's try out this program, I've always been able to go for it. They're like, okay, go for it. Kevin, our manager, we've all been managed by him, except for, I think, Gigi. We've all been managed by him at some point in our career. He allowed me to build out my own process that eventually led to the position I was in no longer being needed, and I got promoted. Like, this is one of the rare places where you can critique, you can criticize, you can come up with your own ideas, and you're supported in that, and you can move forward. You're given the tools that you need, go for it. And that is very important, because I feel like a lot of us, we feel like we can't speak up, or if I speak up, they're going to get rid of me, or things like that. So in this sense, I would say culture may be more important than what the company itself is doing every day.
And are you surrounded by people who challenge you? These people on this panel challenge me every day. Like, I'm like, man, I need to get on Will's level. I need to be doing what DJ's doing. I need to be doing what Lauren's doing. Like, you want to surround yourself with people of excellence, right?
Yes. Shameless plug to Will. When I started, I hadn't met Will yet. And, we have a database where we can go and, review calls. And all I kept hearing was Will. That's all I kept hearing. I'm like, okay, I need to see what's up to this. So I literally went and, as a part of my onboarding, I pivoted us a little bit and I started, listening to all of Will's calls and seeing how he would word things and seeing how he would communicate to customers. And then I finally tapped in with him, via Slack, and we were able to kind of connect on a one-on-one basis. But leveraging your current networks, leveraging, the experience that you currently have is always going to be beneficial, and identify the people that you kind of see in what would like to become, because I think identifying that provides you with a roadmap, and once you have that roadmap, all you need to do is just put one foot in front of the other. And I think I saw a question in the chat just in regards to like how to get around the application tracking system and tailoring like the resumes and things like that. I would say just keep pushing in that direction. Keep applying, build your network. I think most of my best opportunities did not come like known. It was more of like me conversing with someone just on a personal level, and me just being, as real as possible and as genuine as possible about what I want for myself, and then other people finding and making space for that. So just continue to pursue those companies that you want to be a part of, and stay intentional.